Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world right now. And thank you for joining us for another chapter in The Mouse Says the Butler Didn't Do It. We are joining again in Escape to New Hope with Dima and Annie. When last we met, Dima was getting prepared to go under the knife. Stevie and Annie had discussed things. They found things out. They understood what was what. Annie now finds herself amongst friends who understand what it is like for her to be a witch. In fact, a Jew witch. Stevie's sister-in-law and her brother-in-law are doctors, surgeons to be exact, and they are willing to deal with the fact that Dima still has bullets remaining in his body to be removed. They're going to perform a surgery on the dining room table with the help of Rain acting as anesthesiologist, so that these bullets can be removed. And at this point, Stevie's got something up her sleeve. So does Rain. So we will continue on with Chapter 40. However, in the background, you may hear an argument going on between our youngest Chihuahua, Maggie Lou, and me. She's giving me a hard time here over her acting up and not coming when called. So we had a little discussion about that. Only confidentially, I think she won because she's too doggone cute. So, onward with Escape to a New Hope. Chapter 40. Dima was groggy and sort of remembered being shifted onto a cot and being covered with a light sheet. He mumbled something. Pete, is Peter alive? The answer was clear, though. Everything is fine. I'll get Annie and the baby. It was Stevie's voice. He felt his right hand being squeezed. Annie, he groaned. We are here. You are in Long Island home. The doctor got the bullets out. You need to rest. The birds. He licked his lips. They felt dry. His voice was raspy. What kind did you see? What colors were they? I am wondering. My brother or sister. All kinds, all colors. You rest. I will tell you about them when you wake. She kissed his forehead. He closed his eyes to sleep. Annie looked up at Stevie. Brother or sister? Dima is orphan. I not understand. Why would... and Peter? This Peter was his friend from Viborg, the village where he taught at. He is the soldier that was shot by the commanding officer, like Dima was. We not know if he is alive or lays dead in some type of cave. Why would he be asking? Dr. Hindi came over. Annie, it could be a memory that is buried deep. If he was a child when placed, there would be a younger child he may have been told of, but not placed with him, or it may have survived to adulthood. Life in Russia is not good. I understand. If there is a sibling, we will try to find. He is very dim-witted from the surgery right now. Annie brushed his bangs back as Dr. Raj leaned in to examine the scar from the bullet that grazed his head. Annie, what is this mark? He asked. A bullet grazed his head through the helmet he wore. The commanding officer tried to murder him. It is one of the resulting scars. Dennis found the bullet behind him as it hit the burned-out vehicle he was in front of. Dima does not know. Dennis, he wears this bullet on a chain around his neck as it is. I opened it to empty it. I placed some of Pooba's ashes in it. His little dog that bastard shot and killed. We have rest in an urn. Hindi looked at Raj, who gave a nod. The child went upset. He reaches for the necklace he wears around his neck. It is his security, Raj stated. Well, this explains much. And you were right not to play with that one in his left shoulder. His hip took 10 minutes to remove. The shoulder, it will take time, and he will need therapy to get his strength back. Unfortunately, he may never regain full strength or use of that arm. And Raj checked the contusion on the right side of his head. That area, she placed a finger next to the graze mark. Where he was grazed by the bullet, that is now explained what caused this, and is why he was unconscious for so many weeks. Dima had a severe head trauma. This is why his thoughts come slow. Memories are jumbled. There is a loss of certain things, and yet other things that are buried deep are surfacing now. Him being unconscious that long left his brain to recover. From the impact, it was like a bowl of Jell-O being shaken, then set down hard on a table. Annie bit her lip. Her eyes filled with tears. He'll be all right, Hindi smiled. If Dennis hadn't drug him home and you given him shelter. In the basement of a bombed-out church. Oh, my heavens. What type of shelter was that? It gave him the best chance he had, young lady. Your brother's actions saved him from the elements. Your actions with your sisters in the removing of the bullets you could, and allowing his brain to rest. The three of you saved his life. This is a very brave, unselfish, and powerful thing you have done. It is very good karma for all of you. Now, we let him rest, and you should as well for the baby you carry. Stevie says you are just a few days along. Thank you. I will, she sighed. You have a very good man. Hindi turned for her and Dr. Raj to leave the den. Annie sat back in the office chair to look down at Dima's handsome face. There were a few whiskers that were longer in his beard. They would need to be trimmed. She brushed his tousled bangs and top of his brown hair from his eyes. You are so handsome, my Prince Charming, and I love you so very much. Please heal with no pain. She rested her hand against the chair and closed her eyes as she laid her head back. The two of them slowly fell asleep. Rain's sister-in-law and her brother packed up their things. Raj left the home. Hindi went into the kitchen where she made a cup of tea and took a seat to relax and wait for the children to return. Chapter 41. Stevie and Rain looked in on them as she picked up Tatiana from the bouncer. I'll put her into her basket so she can rest. Hindi brought over some formula to give Annie a break, so I'll take care of the baby for her. You don't have ideas, do you? Rain asked. Maybe. Stevie smiled up at him. She leaned into Rain as he put his arm over her shoulder. He leaned down to place a kiss on the side of her head and chuckled. Oh, really? "What's the chuckle about, my dear Rain Man?" she asked. "I'm picking something up from you. That is, I know you're receiving something, some type of knowledge." Stevie looked up at her husband. "I hate to do this because he's been retired for so many years. You know only part of the secrets. The elders of the mandala hold many, but because God loved you, you came to New Hope early in the winter season all those years ago, and thank Diana and Lucifer that you did, because if you hadn't been there that January night, we may have all lost our Graham to those bastards, leaving him in the elements after that. I can't even wrap my mind around what they did to him." Stevie shook her head. "I know, sweetheart, it was horrible. I saw. But, baby, there are several secrets that run deep in my parents' family, our family. You know about Uncle Chris and Uncle Silver serving in El Salvador. Daddy retired because of the asinine situation in Afghanistan and Roman's death over there, Rosie being wounded, and their friend Julius Willows almost being blown to kingdom come in the suicide bombing attack that nutcase of an American fanatic, and Saddam helped swoop Pele to get them out of the situation, and Nut Wolf out of there as well. That freaking suicide bombing. Then the shit where the president left billions of dollars of equipment, and the fight to get Saddam Kadar and his family to safety from the village they were trapped in. And, well, then that's when the Taliban found he was an Afghan soldier who fought with the American side. I'm not going into all that other shit, and then to say, well, I don't want to deal with it. It may be our left-behind weapons that are being used against Israel. I refuse to. God bless his chosen and keep them safe. What does this have to do with Dima is Russian? I don't understand, but like your Uncle Tsar and Rasputin. She smiled. It's kept fairly quiet, but sometime, I think it was Khrushchev that was head of the USSR before Kennedy was assassinated. Uncle Tsar's and Uncle Rasputin's father, dead Alexei. The word defect has been used. She motioned him out of the room. He followed her. What do you mean? He defected from Russia? I thought he came here after World War II or something. I thought he was born here, he was born here, like Bubby Valkyrie. No, he was not. It was the height of the Cold War. Papu once said he was KGB. He defected because he fell in love with Bubby Valkyrie. He became a hidden spook. Rain raised his eyebrow. Hidden what? Dad became a code breaker for the CIA. He busted shit with the USSR's and the Red China's codes for the US. He still has connections with MI5, German intelligence, Sweden, Finland, Greenland, Norway, Turkey, Montenegro, and the Interpol services. Several of the freed former Iron Curtain nations, like Latvia, Poland, Lithuania, Ukraine, Tajikistan, Bulgaria, Yugoslavia, Slovenia, Czechoslovakia, Luxembourg, and Liechtenstein. There are several still in the Russian Federation that he has access to, and the people are his informants. Jesus Christ! Holy Mother of God! Rain clamped a hand to his head. And your grandfather? Long story short, Grandpa Quinn is the one who offered him the position in the CIA. He's been Dead Alexei's handler for all these years and his best friend and protector, along being with his partner. A few years ago, they saved a young woman's life as she saved his. Habila. You're talking about Habila Lynn? Yes, that took place after they were involved in the raid. It took place on May 13th, 1998, the last time he worked for any government. He's the reason that at age 70, that YBM Magnix International Incorporated headquarters in Newtown, right freaking here in Pennsylvania, was raided by the FBI, and the man named Simeon Meglovich was placed on the FBI's worldwide most 10 wanted list. He's the head of the Russian mob. All other syndicates answer to him. YBM was a laundry for drug money. Okay, but how the hell do you know all of this, Stevie? I listen. I have my ears. Sweetie, someone is hunting Dima, and it's not over the war. I'm seeing like an old-fashioned, what are they called? Like a Nickelodeon viewer. The old hand-crank penny arcade movies. It's not a movie. It's more like a slideshow. Whatever the new KGB out of Russia is, there's something they're looking for, and Dima holds the key and doesn't know it, nor does he understand it, or why he's being searched for. And it's from the top. Those orders came directly from the Kremlin itself. Call your dad. He's ex-military. Your grandpa he's who recruited Dead Alexei and helped him to defect and settle here in New Hope, with Bubby's people being in Lambertville. Damn straight I'm calling, but not until Dima is well enough to deal with this, and we need to help Annie calm and resting. She's pregnant. The stress from the war, right? Yes, but Rain, she is a few days along in a pregnancy. Dima is not Tatiana's father. Annie wouldn't tell us. She's ashamed of it. It's not her fault, but I see violence and several murders around her conception of Tatiana, 2 of which were self-defense at Annie's hand to protect the children and her father, who was later murdered in front of the 2 little ones, as Dima tried to stop it. Holy jumping Christ on jumped-up horseback. You're telling me she was raped in the middle of a war? I sense it was by more than one Russian soldier, and Dima carries Demos's identification because the young man she loved. He looked like Dima. They beat him to death before her. He follows to keep a watch over her and the children and Dima. Also, Peter, who they talk about, Dima's friend, he was wounded, but not dead. And what, Stevie? What have you picked up on? A friend of Dead Alexei and Grandpa Quinn. She and her husband, I think. Yes, I'm sure of it now. They are protecting Peter. He was part of a puzzle we need to put together. It's worldwide. You said the man your grandfather and Alexei were looking for? Not looking for, sweetheart. Hunting. Okay. He was head of the Russian mob and worldwide? I've read about him, yes. He's brought all of them together. the mafias from around the world, and the South American cartel. They all answer to him, baby. Christ, I've heard Ade, Lotus, Walt, and Keila talk about some of the shit with Brighton Beach, and that as a rookie, Ade worked with Jacob Cranberry, who was their captain on the force. He's mentioned that name on occasion. Uncle Tsar and Rasputin would have been in Germany. That was Berlin when the Berlin Wall was torn down, and a flash of money and drugs were showing on the side of Berlin that was USSR held. Putin was stationed there as part of the KGB in some type of villa. I don't know what this would have to do with Dima, but there's a woman that resembles him. She's been long dead, though. He mumbles about a sibling. Could he have younger brothers or sisters he's never met? Rain took his seat on the sofa. Probable. There's a lot of shit that takes place over there, baby. Russia has a 20.9% in alcoholism in their population as of this year. That's not a count on all of it. That's only the records they're willing to admit to. The drug use is high amongst the street kids. Ray nodded. And from what Dima said, they don't have foster care like we do or adoption centers. They have the old-fashioned orphanages, and once the kid hits 17, if they don't have an apprenticeship set up or a university to attend, they're out on the street. He blew out a breath. Unlike our three, and the babies we're waiting on. Right. It's possible there are other children through his mother and relationships she had through other men. And the sad fact is that 70% of marriages in Russia end in divorce. And that leaves those children from the relationship they are usually placed in an orphanage. And that's not counting the relationships that have no rings bearing on them. And births out of wedlock is as high as 30%. About 3/4 of those children are placed in orphanages. Jesus Christ, how do you even know this? Stevie bit her lip. I did a study. I wanted to talk to you about adoption from either Russia or China because of the gene I carry for the dwarfism. Ray nodded. You still want to do that, don't you? Yes. This is because of what I see when I look at Dima. There are younger children, some from his mother, but others from, well, honey, the man Dima thinks of as his father isn't his father. The grandparents he loved so much and lost. We were the man's parents, but they did not know Dima was not his. You're telling me Dima's mother had an affair with another man while married to his father? It was a set-up, is what it was. She was part of what happened to the man. Stevie closed her eyes shut. As Stevie shuddered, she wrapped her arms around Rain and sat. She was part of the setup that got him murdered. What is it, baby? What are you seeing? Stevie opened her eyes to blink as she looked at him where they sat and took a deep breath to reach for the coffee table. What I see with her is she shoves the baby in a basket and leaves it at it looks like I don't quite know. It's like a large complex, and there is another 1 or 2 infants that are now teens or children, and a spirit guide. A little, oh, good Lord. It's an infant. It was murdered to get rid of it. Stevie stood to walk around the table and then sat down again with Rain as she turned in her husband's arms to bury her face in his strong chest. It visits someone that is connected to us, yet not yet there. He's still at a distance, but yet he's with someone who is connected to the Mandula family. Rain played with his handlebar mustache as he held on to her. Shit. So you think he does have a sibling or siblings, and that a baby, an innocent baby, that was a sibling died? Not died, Rain. The baby is a guide. He was murdered. But none of the children carry their father's last name, and they are not sharing the same last name. The mothers are all different, and as I don't feel that Dima's birth father is the man he thinks he is, and the places where the children were born are different, and the locations in which they were settled within the orphanages are completely separate as their birthplaces. But, continue please, sweetheart. She looked up at him. None of them are in Russia. And in them being taken from the orphanages, it was done without papers. You mean they've been moved illegally? Yes, only there's something not right. The child was in their system, then gone, vanished, and he, Dima, unlike the boys or girls, had been being searched for by another. The children, though, they've been moved multiple times and separated to be used and held as bargaining chips for what they want from Dima. Only Dima doesn't know of their existence. So whoever it is that moved the children are like holding them for ransom until they find Dima and what he has? Kind of. But there is an issue I'm getting, and it's the baby that's telling me. He visits Mickey with a little girl. The problem is with this situation, I'm being told the problem is several of the children are missing from where they were supposed to be held. The holders, or handlers, I guess you would call them. She blinked several times as her eyes were unfocused and slowly came back. They're pissed off, the original ones who started this. Why? The children, Rain, the ones who are to have them, are supposed to produce them soon. Okay? But she smiled. Rain. Only the problem is they haven't found the children that have escaped them, nor have the ones that are attempting to find them either. One has been moved, a boy, with a younger sibling, the boy, the oldest. There are plans for him to be rescued, and his captors do not know he is not to be there when they look for him. It's going to happen at some upcoming celebration. There is a set of twins. One was found years ago in a fight for another child that... No, wait a minute. There was an extortion attempt and a family was rescued. The baby was being held and they took her with them to get her out of there. The other twin was taken and placed somewhere else. But she's a teen now, and she's the one that is connected to the boy that is the one who the baby and little girl are the guides for. And there is another connection that leads to another child that is in Russia. They haven't found out about that baby. But when they do, they're going to hunt and try to completely hide the situation because their lives will be on the line. All of their lives. They looked to where Triumph was asleep in the warmth of the hearth in a pile of foxes, a foxhound and a dachshund. Rain, that child is only 8 months old, and there is another that is in China. She has disabilities, and she's only a week old. Follow your instincts, my love, and put in those 2 applications. I'll sign them. Whatever you want, baby, whatever you want. Rain leaned forward. Stevie slid out the drawer of the coffee table to take an envelope out. She opened it to lay out 2 papers along with photos. Please look at these. They're the children I've got the feelings about. Rain picked up the pictures. He smoothed his handlebar mustache. If you have these photos, I've been having dreams for a long time about these 2 babies. Rain took the pen from the open drawer and signed the paperwork. We'll mail these out tomorrow. Thank you. She kissed his cheek. In the meantime, I'll make a call to our group that handles the operation of evacuation for an orphan in China and Russia. Rain looked to their son and smiled. He's so like you. Our son can sleep anywhere as long as he has furry friends to curl up with. They make him feel safe, like nothing can harm him. Rain laughed as he pulled Stevie into his arms as she sealed the envelopes. My hubby is plenty furry enough. Thank you very much. And yes, try showing signs like Jess gets. I'm not going to let him ignore them like his uncle does, but let someone try to harm our baby, any of our babies, and I and the coven with his uncles will be the worst nightmare, and they would not want to tangle with his big sissy and bros. Scout may lose control sometimes, and Triton holds back. But they have gifts, where our and Apple's Harley is pure strength and muscle like his dad. Jess will get bit in the ass. Jess will get bit in the ass one day by having to acknowledge that he's got gifts when those gifts hit him full force. But in the meantime, it's fun to watch you zap him every now and then. He kissed the top of her head as she laid it on his chest. We've been lucky this week. Our girl hasn't blown anything up, electrical or with her gifts. Yet, she held up a finger. Her gifts are more scary when that happens than her short-circuiting and frying or blowing up a resistor or cap or diode, even when she might set the smoke alarms off or fill the house with the sour smell of fish oil gone rancid. Rain chuckled. That's why we set up her own shop, to take care of that little issue. But don't tell her that. She has pride and is actually very good in her electronics repair. True, Rain smiled and chuckled. Chapter 42. As the evening was full on the countryside of Poland, Carol and Mara were looking over the paperwork that had come to them through the special delivery via an American attaché attached to the U.S. Embassy in Warsaw. Peter lay asleep in the small upper floor bedroom loft of the farmhouse. This rest the young man needed after the discovery of the remainder of the bullets within his body. The only availability of painkillers had been a combination of 4 remaining pills of 5-year-old Percocet from Mara's C-section birth with their son, Czeslaw, and the bottle of 2 Motrin 500s from Carol's back surgery 3 years ago. These were taken with a hefty dose of Box Zubraka bison grass-flavored vodka. Carol had gone to the internet. As a former military medic, he laid out the things he needed. Once Peter was down, Carol scrubbed and began the critical surgery. Peter had woken as Carol was closing, and they dosed him with another double shot of vodka. The young man was now sleeping it off. Their bags were packed, and they had gotten the animals prepared, and they were already on the way to be shipped, as they would reside in quarantine for the next 6 weeks. It would be 2 days before they themselves were taking the journey to Warsaw to board the plane to fly out for the U.S. They would be staying in Boston for the weeks they were to wait for the animals to be released, and then they were to board the animals onto an animal transport and have them shipped to the new area of the farmland home they purchased in the outskirts of New Hope, Pennsylvania. Today they were packing the final items to be shipped and transported to the U.S. All the furniture was to be sold off at the sale of the farm, and funds to be forwarded to them at the final sale of the items. Carol looked at their paperwork. He sat at the table and started to go over it. As part of their transfer, their last name would be changed over. Their name was now Nowak. This had been chosen by Alexei Khrushchev because of his wife. Valkyrie's favorite actress was a much loved movie star of Bell, Book, and Candle in the beautiful Novak, Kim Novak. Carol sat back as he went over the papers and drank his tea. Mara, you may want to look at several of the papers that both Valkyrie and Britt has sent you on the stores and the farms in the area as to where we are going to settle. He slid out the papers to lay upon the table. Mara set down her mug to look through them. These are good, and yes, Valkyrie states that the store of Mystic Moments is very much in operation. Along with that, the building next to it that Emily and Sonny own to open to me to do the store setup for the craft items and the items that the girls and I make to sell. And as I am to work with the animals and Rosie with the petting zoo, and at the college as a professor of zoology, Carol stated, all will be well along with us proceeding with the future of this investigation that has occurred within Poland and Germany, as it is connected to many more countries. This must stop, and as our girls were endangered a mere year ago, and we know who may be behind this, we may need assistance to assist those that are now dealing with this, as it has moved into the U.S., Canada, and throughout Mexico, Central and South America, and the Caribbean islands. Carol rose to put his mug in the sink, and as he did, his chair was hit by a bullet that came through the window and passed through the back of it and penetrated the lower cabinet where it embedded himself. Mara hit the floor, taking him with her, and drew the VIS 100 from her concealed shoulder holster. Go check the children and Peter. Mara popped up to slam herself against the kitchen wall as Carol crouched and ran for the living quarters. Both the older girls were on the floor with their younger 11-year-old sister, Bozina, and Czeslaw beneath them, and their arms around their cat, Spins, and dog, Jess. Stay down, he ordered as he bolted up the stairs. There was an explosion that came from overhead when he hit the landing. This was followed by several fired rounds from the kitchen. Carol hit the door of the loft with his shoulder. Peter, dazed but alert, swung around with an antique World War II Polish muzzler, Waltz 98 carbine rifle in his hands. "It's me, son. What the hell?" Peter swallowed. "Two men. They did not follow me. They are in plain clothing, camouflage, as if in hunting for deer." Carol advanced to the window to look out as another round came from down below them in the kitchen. They saw that man drop less than 30 feet from where Peter had taken the first man. That will be Mara's kill." "What?" "She is former Special Service of Liechtenstein. She is being hunted for what she has found that is happening in Europe. This means I fear I will need to do some digging." They waited several moments. That was when they heard the howl that came from the woods that surrounded the area. "Or maybe not." Carol raised an eyebrow as he smiled. "Wolves?" Peter stated. "Yes, and they are not tame like ours." Peter looked at him wide-eyed. "They shall have a good meal, and these two will never be found. We move the animals tomorrow and secure them for transport. Then we leave ourselves for Warsaw and the airport. Your papers have been secured." "Good. Thank you, Papa." "You lay down. You must rest now. If you open that wound again after firing that big-ass gun, we will have a talking, and you may get a surprise. I may just turn you over my knee and crack you one across the ass." Chapter 43. Early evening brought the children back home from their fishing trip. Along with their catches, they brought seashells and the stories of the beach, the picnic with the men, both their sisters, Babette and Lotus, Judy, and a friend of Ade's, plus 2 lifeguards on duty on the private beach, and the enjoyment of their day. Dennis had never seen the ocean or smelt the salt air. He was filled with questions. Ivina was fascinated by a horseshoe crab that had came up onto the beach, and she'd followed it to study until Jocko had called her back for their picnic. Ade explained about growing up on the private beach, the clam bakes, and the campouts during the summer. Chaz told them, "Yeah, even Mom says our dad is a curmudgeon, but he's almost 15 years older than Uncle Rain, and Uncle can get him to do fun things. And Uncle Moshe, he's the one who taught us about how they cook fish over the open fire near the Sea of Galilee, and that of Talipa, or St. Peter's fish, barbels, Damascus, barbel, and Kenneset sardines. All of these are kosher, but there are also European and eels, catfish that are not. We talked about the fish that are there and are different than what we have here in the States. Their friend, Sander, told the children about the privateers and the ships who sailed this part of the ocean before and during the Revolutionary War with England. They also explained about their eclectic family makeup. Lotus was Vietnamese. She was born there and brought to the country through her adoption. Chaz was Sri Lankan. Both had been adopted into the family, and they collected shells with Lotus, who was the tallest woman Ivina had ever met. And she is so beautiful. Babette, too. But Lotus, she could be model with her height. Ade said she is 6'2", and her hair so long, plaited it hangs to her knees. Ivina was fascinated by her beauty, and that Babette was a prima ballerina and had done several dance moves to show them to them. She was also a dance teacher and owned her own studio after she was forced to retire from a knee injury. After their tales of the day, the children had gone to help the woman in the kitchen. Their excitement had enthralled Dima and Annie. The children were already settled into their new lives in the USA. Now all they had to do was settle into their own part of this new world to them. Dima, however, was still worried about finding a job to support his family. That was to be dealt with later in the early evening and yet to come. Chapter 44. Dima was now sitting up on the couch. He was in the process of reading papers that had been emailed to Stevie from her older brother, Jess. They were an offer for a teaching position as a tutor for math, science, geography, and world history. Dima would be able to use his degree as a teacher if he accepted the offer from the man. The offer was for him to work for Jess in the capacity of an online tutor through educational services Jess had successfully launched prior to the COVID pandemic. Jess needed help. There was no doubt about it. He could handle grades 8 through 12 and into college-based courses. The service was set up for students that had issues, as so many students with COVID and the school situation were the ones who had fallen behind in elementary, or what Russia called primary school, from these satellite school efforts failing. This had resulted in the fact that the man was overwhelmed. Dima had the degrees for the elementary or primary school education. Stevie, will you send him that I will accept? I need a course, though, for myself, for better English skills, to help these children to understand me much better, so I can communicate with them and help them. She did, and her brother responded immediately. Oh, shit! He's that desperate? She stated when her phone notification sounded. Yeah, he is, Rain agreed, looking over her shoulder. He just hit you right back. Normally, you need to call him to get an answer to an email. Okay. Dima just said he wants to talk salary. As long as I am working. Hold it. She looked at Rain wide-eyed. He's in freaking panic mode. He's on the phone. Incoming. Here we go. Only just a mess. Rain shook his head. She touched her phone screen and turned on the speaker. Hey, BB. I've got you on speaker. Dima has your offer. Remember, he's recovering here, so his brain is a little slow on the uptake from the procedure. Speak slowly and enunciate your words like we do with Romeo when our boy is having a poor day. She passed her phone to Dima. You got it. Good evening, Dima. Hello, Jess. My offer stands on your decision, dude. I need you. I need an elementary teacher for kindergarten through 7th grade. Salary will be a little low to start, but I can guarantee it will meet standards by the start of next semester, if not sooner, and in a higher than expected pay ratio. I am interested. I am not worried about salary. I am worried about finding work to take care of my family. I am accepting whatever is the offer. However, you need to know I desire to take my own course to better my English. Dima, Dan and I, along with Mandula, will be glad to assist you with that. Now, if it's okay, like I said, the salary is low. I'm sorry, dude, but as I also said, it will improve. I'm offering I do not care if it is 200 rubles an hour. That is an occupation where my degree is a children's teacher and it can be used. I can use these to help and teach children. Do you understand that, Jess? They heard a clicking over the phone. Dima looked at Stevie. What is that? He's using his currency exchange calculator, I bet. I'd bet on anything. It's on his desk, not his phone. Dima, God damn straight I am. And are you nuts, Dima? Is it too much? He stared at Stevie. Too much? That's $2.11 an hour. I made more than that as a paper boy. Starting salary is $55,000 a year after taxes and with your medical insurance included to cover your family. And by September, I expect to be paying you $76,000 after taxes, of course, or more. Dollars, dude, not freaking rubles or fucking pesos. Dima's hand shook so bad, Stevie had to grab her phone to keep it from hitting the floor. Dima? Jess paused. Dima? You-hoo! Dima! Earth to Dima! He's here, bro. He's just freaked. Oh, crapola. Is he okay? I think so. Dima? Thank you. That would take me... Oh... way too many years to count. Don't you hyperventilate on me. Stevie will put a whammy on me and my hair is fucking frizzy enough tonight with the rain. Breathe, my friend. What would you be making with your degree in Russia, can I ask? Dima was quiet for a second. Then he slowly exhaled. About $8,000 a year before taxes, and you do not want to know what taxes are for Russia, and the cost of an apartment in St. Petersburg. Do not even try to think about Moscow. This is why I transferred to Viborg. It was cheaper as I could not afford St. Petersburg on my own, and when we were in Moscow, yet, even with both of us working and government housing help, it was a struggle. The Tsar couldn't afford a one-bedroom shithole in Moscow nowadays. Fuck, my little girl makes that part-time reading tarot cards with her grandmas and her auntie there, who's standing right there with you during the summer break from school, and she's just 10 years old. She won't be 11 until another 7 weeks. So, you'll accept my offer? Yes! When do you need me to start? Uh-oh. Here it comes. Rain shook his head. Be prepared to have our world go to crap for this Thanksgiving week. Looks like our kids are going to be attending school at home. Stevie passed Dima the phone to cross her arms over her chest and cock her hip against the door frame. To be honest, I could have used you to start in September. What did I tell you? Rain blew out a breath. Hey, be nice. I could use you right away, but I know you need to heal. Shit. When could you? Dima sat in silence. He looked from Annie to Stevie to the phone he held and chewed his lower lip. Jessup? They don't have a place to live there yet. The house on Flandau Island is... It's for shit right now, and the B&B won't have a room until Monday after Thanksgiving. You have a dachshund, right, Dima? Puddinghead. Is that a problem? Jess, what are you thinking? 'Cause BB, I think I'm tuning into you. T.S. Eliot would love to have a buddy to play with. His younger litter mates think pudding is the bomb. So does Toby. But what about Grisabella, Rumtug Tugger, Bustopher Jones, and Jenny Manydots? He was silent for a few seconds. The cats have their catio, and I figure Mickey can handle Prince Di and Bobby Sands, and those two cappies get along with anything. Cappies? Anastasia looked at Stevie. Capybaras. Jess's daughter, Mickey, has two of them. They are very large rodents, but very friendly and lovable. Like rats? Think very big, lovable guinea pigs, Jess answered. Then they are what was in the video with the little smart toddler. They listen well to her. I ain't no toddler. The voice came across the phone. Mickey, honey, they don't know, Jess said. What? No one's told them? Are you kidding me? No, we didn't get a chance to, Stevie told her. Sweetie, please calm down. Oh, sorry, ma'am. It's just sometimes I get teased when Daddy or Uncle Lightfoot take me school shopping. That's why Abuelo and Abuelo make my clothes for me. Annie blinked and looked at Stevie. Mickey, you are a very pretty young girl. Why should someone tease? I will not tolerate that for you. They will hear my mouth, I assure you. Thank you. My daddy can explain, Mickey almost whispered. My home is 7 bedrooms plus 4 rooms with hideaway beds built in. Mickey is the same age as Dennis, and there's something I need to let you know. Ready for this, kiddo? Go ahead, Daddy. I'm good, and I like Miss Annie already. Okay. Mickey was born a dwarf. At 10, she's less than 3 feet tall, but has an IQ that most adults can only dream about. We're talking a brain like Stephen Hawking's. I and Dano can't touch it put together, and therefore we will really need Dima's help to even out the odds against her brain. There are a couple of kids at Mandula besides Triton that are Ivana's age, and you guys are to return when? Sissy? When will it be? I knew you would do this. Hold on, bro. Stevie turned her head to look at Rain. The man shook his head and folded his arms over his chest and leaned against the opposite frame of the archway. Leave it to just a mess. Big Bro, or BB, needs Rain and little Spooky Sis to pull his ass out of the fire again. He needs Dima down in New Hope ASAP. Please? I'm desperate, Doc Ock. Her brother almost wailed over the phone like a child. I got Lightfoot's credence coming on. Court ordered on Wednesday. Those two asses haven't had him in school since they got custody. Doc Ock? Annie looked at him. I and Harley arrived at the B&B in October 17 years ago. He was a baby. So, being I'm a vet by trade, that dingbat of Philly 500's Dingbat Nation, that Mandula can explain about the NFL nicknamed me Dr. Octopus or Doc Ock. Please? I need 'em! Come on, Uncle Rain. If Miss Annie and Mr. Dima can cook, I won't starve or have to scrape off burnt food when Daddy cooks. That's 'cause Uncle Lightfoot has to work with the orchestra and prepare for the Christmas concert in December. Last night I had to open the windows and put the fans in them once again. Oh, Jesus, Jess! Not again! Stevie pushed off the arch frame. Hey, you rat fink! Thanks a lot. Please! I need them! Besides, I'm tired of cleaning the wall oven out from splatters of TV dinners, and you don't want to know how long it took me and Uncle Lightfoot to get the goop of whatever it was he tried to cook in the nuker cleaned out. It was a nightmare, it was disgusting. And even the combo of baking soda paste and white vinegar scrub, then the hot water steam wouldn't cut into the mess he made of it. That was macaroni and cheese. I got the midnight munchkin. See what I mean, Uncle Randy? You see what I'm saying and dealing with, don't you? I'm going to starve here. With Uncle Lightfoot tied up with concert practice, I'm going to starve to death for sure. You wouldn't want that to end on your conscience, would you, Doc Ock? Come on, please. She's only 10. Let her make it to her 11th birthday, Jess wailed. Unky, he's been stopping by Starbucks for our breakfast, hitting Uncle Chris up at the inn for school lunches, and I won't touch the stuff they serve at the school cafeteria. Not that I'm complaining about Uncle Chris's lunches, but I open a steak and lobster rolls with cream fresh and put on top of a chocolate souffle, and I got my teachers drooling over me, and Daddy's idea of dinner is whatever eatery is available at 9 o'clock at night. If it ain't that, it means I have to chisel the debris off a pot that he's tried to put something out of the air. My mouth ain't working now. That he's tried to pull something out of the air. It ain't been the great hall at Hogwarts welcoming feast around here. T.S. won't touch it, and my cats have refused to take the chance with their tongues on anything burnt with more of the gunk to help to clean the pots and pans. Bradicus, I try. Cut me a break, okay, you little munchkin? If you don't get them down there, I'll be forced to eat the grass cuttings and my own poo like my Princess Di and Bobby Sands do to survive, Uncle. Ew! We need to help this poor child. Annie looked from Stevie, who was trying not to laugh out loud at her niece's antics, then to Rain, who continued to shake his head. Please? She's got me pouting now. Oh, for heaven's sake, stop whining like a 2-year-old, will you, Jess? You're almost 40. And Lightfoot and Creed, if you could see me now, Rain, I'm pouting, lower lip out and all. Uncle Rain? He ain't kidding, came a softer squeak of a voice. Rain looked to his wife. All right, Mickey, do you have a turkey, you weenie? He projected his voice at Jess. Mickey and I, with Lightfoot, were going to hit up Mom and Dad and go to the B&B. Rain threw his arms up in the air. We'll bring the damn turkey! Only this year, make sure Bobby Sands doesn't get to eat the sage. He had hiccups for 2 days last year, and we have to pack the kids' catches. They went fishing today. Mickey, what do you think about me doing a fish chowder and fried flounder with French fries? If you do your infamous hush puppies, I'll clean the operating room at the clinic free of charge until I graduate from college, she answered. You don't need to do that, kiddo. I'll make my mom's hush puppies, promise. You'll save my life with that, Unky. I think I might have a head of cabbage I can rescue and some carrots before the cappies get it. Let me check. It will take us about 2 hours to pack and get the critters together. We'll see you about midnight, give or take an hour. I got cabbage, carrots, and helminths. Aunt Stevie, can Scout get me some apple cider vinegar? If she can, we got the brown sugar. She and I can do our infamous swiped KFC coleslaw recipe. I'll make sure she grabs the bottle from her pantry here, Stevie smiled. Thank you. All of you, Mick, Dan, and I will get the bedrooms ready. Dima, I'll have the paperwork waiting for you when you get here. Dan, Wait a minute. If Dan's there, why isn't he cooking? He had a battle with Creed's aunt and spent half the day dealing with her. So he didn't get a chance to do anything, and Daddy tried to cook a combination of what was supposed to be a frozen chicken enchilada bake and refried beans on the stove with Spanish rice. Unky is scraping the pots and pans and trying to salvage them. They were his good cast irons. We kind of had the fire department out here tonight. Mickey kind of tried not to tell too much. What? Stevie stopped laughing. Are you all right? Yes. Thank you very much, Bradicus. Jess ended the call. You better explain to Dima and Annie about your crazy bro, an honorary adopted bro in Dan Lightfoot, over those rockets they build with Mickey. I will, Rain, I will. Rain turned. I'll get the coolers for the turkey and the fish. Should you not call your mother and let her know we are coming, so it does not interfere with their plans? Dima looked at Stevie. She will know. Annie smiled at her new friend. Yeah, she will, and she'll figure a way to nail my brother. She'll probably teach Mick some new woo-woo to have him panic over tarot cards, crystals, runes, or bowls being left out and have a new girlfriend freak out like the last 5. More like 7 or 8, Rain hollered. He seems to get stuck with the ones who can't deal with it, no matter how much the poor guy tries. It's like his ex put a curse on him or something. Nah, there's someone out there. He just hasn't connected with her yet. And unfortunately, Dan hasn't even tried. The shit went down over Haiku thanks to that asshole father of hers. Stevie shook her head. I'll start packing. You're lucky, Annie. You guys didn't get the chance to unpack. She smiled and left the room. Annie chuckled. Between my salaries and yours, sweetheart, we are quite well off. Oh, the certified letter. I forgot. I heard that, Stevie called. I'll talk to Hindy before we leave here and have Chaz stay here until it arrives. He can bring it down when he goes back to school in Princeton. Don't worry about it, Anastasia. Dima looked from where Stevie's voice came from to his Annie. She blew out a breath. Stevie and her mother are psychics, and they are practicing. Vedmai, he smiled, like my beautiful wife and lovely sister-in-law. Da, I saw what you packed. I am okay with this. You do not worry. He leaned over to kiss her. My bubby. She read tea leaves and beautiful crystals. I learned little bit of reading. Not much. And there we will end it at the end of chapter 44. I hope you enjoyed this and you have met the craziness of Jess and Mickey MacMichaels, Stevie's brother and her niece. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe and hit that bell for notification. As you see right now, our mouse, this is Boggle. Boggle has made an appearance for the evening, and the mouse is right here with us, and she is grumbling her usual grumbly self over the crew being here. We wish you a good night, and hope you enjoyed this. Thank you. Samoa to be.